How to watch the Rugby World Cup 2023, folks. We are going to go through the broadcasters and their particular territories, which commentary teams you can expect to be bringing you the action. And you guys can let us know your thoughts on how keen or not you are to hear some of those people giving their opinions. Now, helpfully, some countries give you a big thumbs up. You've got free to air coverage. I'm looking at the UK, Ireland, France. You guys have all got free to air, which is good for you guys locally and also good for the rest of the world for those of us who use VPNs. But I will get to VPNs at the end. There'll be timestamps in the video for each of the particular territories. But we will start with the UK. You guys are free to air, and as far as I'm aware, pretty much straightforward. All the games are on ITV. So that's a big thumbs up for simplicity and a big thumbs up for having free-to-air coverage. And goodness gracious me, they've got as many pundits as there are matches in the World Cup, pretty much. Goodness me, they've got Maggie Alfonsi, Sam Warburton, Jamie Roberts, Brian O'Driscoll, Greg Laidlaw, Sergio Parisse, George Gregan, Gareth Thomas, Sir Clive Woodward. I can't stand listening to Clive Woodward. He's maybe one reason I wouldn't tune into ITV. I know the guy did great things with his team, but yes, I'm not a big fan of listening to him. Brian Habana, I don't mind. Ian McGeechan's pretty good to listen to. Sean Fitzpatrick over there for a New Zealand connection. Lawrence Delalio, and the list goes on. So they seem to have a bunch of people from various parts of the world. Generally, by the list of people, fairly long retired players. There's nobody who's just kind of, there's no current players on that list as far as I can see. But yeah, David Flatman is also going to be doing some of the kind of commentary, and he's one that I do particularly enjoy. He's not everybody's cup of tea, but I like his light-hearted approach to the game. So there you go. ITV, it's all free. They got all the games, very simple. You can watch them on the ITV X player, which is phenomenal, easy to use. Also, if you want the Welsh coverage in the UK, you've got S4C for all the Wales games. They've also got several kind of big-name former Welsh players like Siwan Lillicrap, the women's player. They got Reece Priestland, they got Mike Phillips, they got Reece Patchell, and so on. I'm assuming all the coverage there is in Welsh. I've watched a few games of the URC on the old BBC iPlayer on S4C. Again, pretty easy to use. I don't speak Welsh, but I know case means try. So, yes, that's a good word to know if you're watching rugby in Welsh. Ireland, you guys also have free-to-air coverage, which is fantastic. I'll give you guys a thumbs up as well. Two broadcasters, though, Virgin Media and RTE. So it's a split of the games. You'll have to look up kind of which games are on which channels, which is a slight level of complexity, but not too bad. For the Virgin Media team, they've got some pretty big-name Irish pundits, the likes of Rob Kearney, Andrew Trimble, Fiona Hayes, Elmer Considine, Ian Madigan. Alan Quinlan's going to be doing some of the co-commentary. I do like listening to Alan Quinlan's commentary. I know he drives some Leinster fans up the wall with a perceived kind of red bias towards his Munster boys, but I quite enjoy listening to Alan Quinlan just personally. On the RTE side, Simon Zebo, Jerry Flannery, Stephen Ferris, Bernard Jackman, and so on. So yeah, you guys have got a split between your two broadcasters, but ultimately, if it's all free to air, I will also approve of that. That's great for growing the game, great for the fans, especially when Ireland doing pretty well at their rugby. They want to get as many people tuned in as possible to compete with some of the other sports that go on there. France, as the hosts, have three broadcasters, just to increase things in complexity once again. TF1, France TV, and M6. Harder for me as a English speaker to check some of the French news, but I do believe Freddie Michalak, Johan Uge, Marjorie Mayence, and Stéphane Etcheverry will be doing some of the kind of analysis and whatnot for the French broadcasters. I believe all free to air, so that is all good news, obviously in the French language, so maybe not my first choice, but sometimes if there's a commentator you can't stand, you're often just better off listening to it in a different language, and you can just kind of tune it out and focus on the game. So those are your three free-to-air broadcasters, which I know all have streaming services, which is great news. I believe Fiji TV also has it free-to-air for you guys in Fiji, but I don't think they have an online streaming platform. For the other territories, it's kind of a mixed bag of whether it's free-to-air fully, not free-to-air fully, partially, or all behind a paywall. I believe Supersport in South Africa, who covers, I think, the vast majority of Africa generally, is all behind a paywall. All 48 matches live and streamed on the new DSTV stream is their kind of tagline. And DSTV seems pretty bloody expensive from when I've looked up the price, to be honest. Although your money, if you are paying for that service, is going to some big name pundits as well, not just South African ones, but the likes of Skulk Burger, John Smith, John de Villiers, Victor Matfield, JP Peterson, Frans Steyn, Skulk Brits, and Jake White, plus some international experts like George Gregan. I guess he's doing ITV and Supersports. He's getting around a bit, old George. Justin Marshall, Hani Shamangi, Nick Mallet, John Plumtree, and so on. The list is lengthy for Supersport, so it's expensive, but they're putting on a real full kind of rugby package for you guys. I didn't see anything about any games free to air. For Australia, you guys have a nice mix of free to air and paid. Stan Sport is the kind of paid platform that you need to use, and they do have the Aussie games and some of the knockout games, I think, on Channel 9, which also has a streaming platform called 9 Now, which is helpful. So it's a mix of free-to-air and paywall stuff. They didn't announce who their commentary team is going to be, but I do believe it should be the regular suspects of Sean Maloney, Tim Horan, Morgan Turanui, Drew Mitchell, Justin Harrison, Andrew Martin, Delana Ferguson, sometimes Sonny Bill Williams and whatnot. I do prefer Morgan Turanui's take on the game usually. He seems to have the best understanding of the laws. He's pretty analytical. Justin Harrison is comical for how biased he is, but as long as you take that into account when you're listening to him, he's all right. If you're looking for someone to call it down the middle, that's probably not the commentary team you want to have on board. Good thing about Stan Sport, though, is they do a 30-day free trial as well, which when combined with a VPN can also be pretty useful. New Zealand, it's a split once again. Sky Sport has all the matches, and that's pretty par for the course here in New Zealand. They tend to have all the rugby. They didn't have the last World Cup, which was a bit of a shock, but they got it back for this one. And I believe they are going to split some of the games free to air on Prime, which is a terrestrial TV channel here in NZ, delayed, and then Stuff, which is a news website here. I've never seen them stream any live sport, but apparently they're going to be streaming some live sport. So again, that may be another option for people who don't sign up to any of these services. Their commentary team is actually relatively small. They've only confirmed Grant Nisbet as the kind of main commentary guy, plus Mills Muliaina, Jeff Wilson, and John Kerwin as the kind of three co-hosts that'll be going along with him. So a relatively small team when you look at some of the other teams that are going over to France. I guess they are on a bit of a budget. Other territories, USA have got a couple of studio pundits, and then I guess they'll just be picking up one of the other streams. Argentina's on ESPN and Star Plus. Italy's on Sky Italia and RAI, is it? Or RAI? There are other territories as well, obviously, but I'm not going to go over every single one in this video, but I'll put a link down in the description to World Rugby's kind of official broadcaster list. Now, I did mention VPNs. I've been known to use a VPN from time to time to get into some rugby, which I maybe don't have access to here in New Zealand. So the one I've been using is ExpressVPN. I'll put a link down in the description to that service. It's pretty straightforward to use. I tested it on a few of these free-to-air websites just to check that it's still working. But, I mean, they do a 30-day money-back guarantee anyway. But if you want to try it, check the link out. For, like, ITV, you just put your server to UK, go to the ITVX player, and you probably have to sign up for an account, which is just your email. And you're away. You might need a UK postcode, which is pretty easy to Google up. RTE I tried. You just need to switch your VPN to Ireland. TF1 in France I tried. You switch your VPN to France. So it's pretty straightforward. So if you're in a territory which is not one of the ones listed, that may be an option for you guys. Just go with ITV because they've got the full coverage. Sometimes you need to put your browser into incognito mode in case they can detect that your cookies are from some other territory. But like I said, it's generally pretty straightforward stuff. So if you want to use that option, Express is the one I use. But as I said, I think any VPN which has got servers in those territories should be able to do pretty much the same job. So if you've already got one, then happy days. But yeah, and then Stan Sport, as I mentioned, do a 30-day free trial. So if everything else fails, you could go with the Aussie option and then kind of watch live and on demand too. But yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts. Which commentators are you particularly looking forward to? Is there anyone who particularly grinds your gears. If you are going to tune in when you've got the option to pick one, who you're going to be picking to listen to. And yes, World Cup is on the horizon. Look forward to it. You guys take care, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.